Good day, everyone. Happy Friday. This June the 6th of 2025. Coming to you from my air-conditioned home in Ontario, Canada. Had my first air-conditioned sleep last night. I mean, even though it wasn't really hot, this house doesn't have any insulation in its roof. So even on just a moderately sort of warm day, the sun beats on the roof, and upstairs is where my bedroom is. Whew, it gets pretty hard to sleep up there. So last night, nice and cozy, at just the right temperature, all good. So I'm going to make a video about, or I should say for, the Outcasts and the Black Sheep, which are pretty much the same thing usually. Black sheep usually refers to your family. I was definitely that. I was so that it's wow, I really was a black sheep. The whole family just looked at me and didn't know what to do. It was like, what is he? Where did that come from? So they eventually threw me away, which that's what happens to most black sheep. They'll either leave themselves or they get cast out, hence the term outcast. So the first thing I want to say to you, if you're an outcast or a black sheep, congratulations, and also well done. Well done. What it really means is that you refuse to drink the kool-aid, as they say. I don't like kool-aid. I don't go near kool-aid. Not at all. And because you won't drink the Kool-Aid, if you don't know what that term means, it means to basically conform and go along with the bullshit, to embrace the matrix. So I don't do that, and you shouldn't either. And if you haven't, as I say, well done, congratulations. That means you are living outside of the matrix. You are able to see things that people inside the matrix are blind to, or in my opinion, some of them aren't even blind to it. They're willfully blind. They know that people like us are correct. Down deep inside, they know that. They're not going to go near admitting that because they too will be an outcast, and they don't want to be. Oh, they're wannabes, but they don't want to be an outcast. They're terrified of that. That's the worst thing that could possibly happen to them, right? Is to be called names and be outcast, be cast out of certain groups they're in. They need to conform to everything that's going on around them and everything that group stands for, which is usually just stuff that was fed to them by evil people, and they just drank the Kool-Aid. So do not do that. Be ostracized. Be cast out. Be a black sheep. It's really not that bad. It's actually, when Jesus returns, it's those of us who have done that who are going to be in a lot better shape. Because going along with the Matrix, you're going along with evil. You're going along with evil. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's talk about an example of what can happen when you go along with the Matrix. Okay? C-19 hit. The COOF, people call it. COVID-19. A clearly manufactured thing. And then, wouldn't you know, it's because of the Hegelian dialectic, which states, you create the problem, then you get the reaction, and then you offer a solution. That's what the Hegelian dialectic is, for those who never heard that. Problem, reaction, solution. David Icke's been talking about that for many years, and he's the reason that people even know what the Hegelian dialectic is now. I mean, some people did anyway, but everyone knows now. Not everyone. Most people know now because of him. So they create this problem, which they did. They made that. then everybody has a reaction. Oh, what are we going to do? We're all going to die. No, but that's what they wanted you to react. That's how they wanted you to react to it. And then, of course, they have a pokey poke solution. Well, how many people are no longer with us because of that? How many people's children are severely pokey poke injured? I know of a bunch. I actually knew one. I haven't talked to him now in about 4 years. So, actually, it wasn't this. It wasn't that pokey poke that did it to him. It was one he had when he was, I think he was like 2, and he got pokey poked with something, and so severely pokey poke injured that this is evil. Actually, his parents actually basically locked him in a room, homeschooled him, wouldn't let him go to school, wouldn't let him do anything. They eventually did, but he was like a prisoner. They were embarrassed of what happened to him. They were embarrassed. Well, they're the ones that took him to get pokey poked, and that ended up happening to him. So they just felt completely stupid and wanted to hide it from everybody, what they'd done to him. That's going along with the Matrix. That's what happens. Some people aren't even as lucky as he was. Some people are just no longer here. That is a killer. There's no question that's a killer. So this is what happens when you drink the Kool-Aid, okay? This is not Kool-Aid, I promise. So, if you are an outcast, you have been cast out. Me and you are birds of a feather. I've become proud of my outcast status because it's a sick society that's cast you out, right? Are you going to be proud of being embraced by a bunch of sick, demented ideologies and Kool-Aid drinking morons who insist the government loves them and we should just do what they say to be good citizens? How many people did I hear say that? We tried to be good citizens. Being good citizens does not mean listening to the people who hate you. Okay? Being good citizens means being aware. Read a history book, and then you'll know that being a good citizen does not mean listening to all the bullshit they feed us. It means the opposite. You can't be a good citizen if you're doing that. You're being a sheep. Being a black sheep actually means you're not a sheep. The black sheep is not a sheep. They will not conform. They will not bow down. They remain true to who they are. That's why almost all my friends all my life, everybody I've ever hung out with, outcasts. Once I realized there was a group of outcasts in school, I just made my way to them and went, okay, so the world hates you too? Yep. Okay, hates me too. How about we hang out? And that's where I get most of my friends. There's nothing wrong with being an outcast, folks. Not a thing. If you're an outcast, if you're an outcast, embrace it, be proud of it. And if you have children, make sure you don't teach them to drink the Kool-Aid. Throughout history, we have seen that those in power do not love us. Okay? Do not love us. The term bread and circuses. Has anyone ever heard that? Bread and circuses. We will give the people bread and circuses, and they will, it's basically saying, bribe them with some, I should say, bribe and distract them with some food and some sports. Bread and circuses. And then they won't pay any attention to what we're doing. That's exactly what's going on. That's exactly what's going on. Those who drink the Kool-Aid usually become big sports fans, and they cheer for their team, and they feel that if their team loses, it's a blow to the heart. It's a bunch of grown men running around chasing a ball that they all should be able to afford to buy their own. Why are they fighting over one? I mean, can't you all afford one? They're not that expensive. It's just a ball. Bread and circuses. That's another story altogether. When I do videos about it's not my hatred of sports, it's my hatred of professional sports and the crap that surrounds them. It's because of that. It's because of, I mean, it began as bread and circuses for the people to distract and bribe them and take their attention off what the evil ones who govern us are doing. Because as I said in my last video, we're being governed by our enemies. Now your family, you might have one of those families that they just buy everything on the evening news, right? They just buy everything that's said. Comes from them. It can't be wrong. I mean, the establishment wouldn't say lies. The establishment wouldn't say anything but lies. As a matter of fact. Again, a history book will teach you this. This isn't hard to figure out. It's pretty easy to figure out you shouldn't be listening to them. No one has ever had good luck listening to those governing us. Now they're trying to disarm people in Alberta. Isn't that interesting? They're going right at Alberta to disarm them because Alberta wants to separate and be done with Canada, and I don't blame the people of Alberta for coming to that. As I said, I want to be part of the 51st state. I'm not drinking the kool-aid here. No, no, no. No. Be proud of your outcast status, your black sheep status. That makes you a good citizen. That really does. And for anyone who, just feels lonely and stuff, you got to think about it. The alternative to being an outcast is being in the matrix and being asleep with all the other sheep. If you're a black sheep or an outcast, you're not a sheep. Who wants to be a sheep? I sure don't.